Hello, everyone. This is episode 1 of the Acuity Podcast. I am the founder of Acuity, Jonathan Brown. Acuity is the fully decentralized social media platform. And for the first episodes, I'm going to be interviewed by Vang Nguyen. So Vang has just signed up for the new ambassador, Acuity Ambassador program. And he's actually the first person to do so. So I'm very interested to have a conversation with Vang and hopefully spread a lot of information about the project.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, let's kick things off by just asking about the origin of the project and why you started it.
Okay, so if I think back to the beginning of the project, so it was actually around the time that Ethereum launched. So I think this was the summer of 2005. And I'd been following Ethereum for a number of years, and the Ethereum blockchain was being activated that summer. In fact, I think it was almost to the day. It was 5 years ago. It was maybe 5 years ago in a few days. And so I taught myself the Solidity programming language, and I wanted to decide what I wanted to do with this technology. And I've been thinking for quite a long time that we need something like Twitter or Reddit, but it shouldn't be a corporation. It always bothered me. Anytime I submit a tweet, I know that it's going via a corporation. So why can't we just publish on the internet, and it should be peer-to-peer? There shouldn't be an intermediary. And then once you have that kind of system, then actually any developer can innovate in the platform any way they want. So that just seemed like a very attractive idea for me. So I started the process of developing on Ethereum.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think you said 2005, but I guess you meant 2015.
2015. Yeah.
It's been within the last 5 years. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I'm a software engineer, and I have like a surface level understanding of blockchain. And one of the things that I don't really quite understand, like I understand the idea of decentralization, transparency, and trust, but I guess I don't really understand the implications of it. So decentralization in blockchain, like you could build most applications with an existing database and it would work as well. I find it hard to imagine, and I was having dinner with friends the other night, and I likened it to back in the early 2000s when someone asked me about online shopping. And I said, if you would have asked me at that time, would this work and would I ever do it? It would really be hard to imagine present day where I do all of my shopping online pretty much. So do you think, is blockchain and decentralized social media in a very similar situation? Because I would use it if it was all set up and all working. But from the position that we're at now, where all the money, the customers, and the content is in existing platforms. So do you imagine that that's where we're going, that one day where things will transition over and it'll be quite natural to use decentralized platforms for all of this? And how do you see that kind of happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so far, nothing from Bitcoin or from blockchain has really gone viral outside of the cryptocurrency community. And the most popular use of blockchain technology is balance transfer. So just sending money from A to B. And whenever I was getting started with this project, and I would explain it to people who were in the community and really knew what they were talking about, and sometimes they would they would just look at me like, why are you doing that? They wouldn't understand the reason, like why do you want to have social media on the blockchain? So for me, I thought it was just, it's so obvious. It's such an exciting concept to have this a fully autonomous system where you know that it's always going to work, but also you can innovate on the platform in any way you want. And so it seems in the past 5 years, so kind of the awareness of why this is important has gradually become, it's become more aware. People are having problems with Twitter in terms of being frustrated about how it works, having being censored, and just not being able to innovate on the platform. And there's actually there must be hundreds of new decentralized social media projects at the moment, all actually innovating in different ways. So with Acuity, I've kind of chosen the way that makes the most sense to me. But there's many other projects that are designed in different ways and have different properties.
Yeah. So once, in terms of governance, once it's up and running, how do you imagine that the blockchain will be governed? The other day, you sent me some links about the DAOs. Could you explain that and how you see Acuity working in terms of governance in the future?
Yeah. So I can give you a short anecdote about my experience with Ethereum and the DAO hack. If I'm sure you're familiar with that. I'm sure a lot of the viewers.
I'm actually not too familiar. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll give a little overview of what happened. So this was maybe after. Was it within the first year or two of Ethereum being launched? So there was this project called the DAO, where it was a smart contract, and the idea was it was decentralized crowdfunding. So people could put money into this system, and then they could collaboratively decide how the money should be spent. And everyone was very excited about this, and actually many millions of dollars worth of ether were stored in this smart contract. And of course, at that time, Ethereum was still a very young and immature technology, and it turned out there was a bug was found in the smart contract. An attacker was able to take advantage of that, and several millions of dollars was actually locked up and was potentially going to be taken by the thief. And so, of course, a lot of people, they wanted to fix this problem because a lot of people were losing a lot of money. So then there was a community-wide discussion of, well, what is the correct approach? Should we have a hard fork to move the funds to the correct location, give the funds back to the original owners before they'd been taken? Or should we stick to this idea that code is law and the blockchain should just be an unthinking machine and just march ahead with the rules? And if you screw up and something goes wrong, then you just have to deal with that. It's real life. And so for a couple of weeks, I really couldn't decide what I thought was the best solution. Should Ethereum have a hard fork to retrieve the funds, or should it just do nothing? And then after a couple of weeks of going back and forth, I had an epiphany of how the governance can work in this situation. I realized that you don't need a single monolithic blockchain for everything running together. I came up with the idea of actually every individual project can be in its own blockchain, and so you can imagine if the DAO that had this bug, if that had been in its own blockchain, then that little community running the DAO, they would have just decided, okay, we had a mistake, we're going to have a hard fork, fix the problem, and then this community-wide drama would have never occurred. So that kind of that was, after I'd had that epiphany, it became very obvious to me that we need a system of federated blockchains. Although I couldn't really find many other people who kind of agreed with that or thought about that. But then it turned out that the founder of one of the founders of Ethereum, Gavin Wood, so he instead of following the Ethereum 2.0 route, so he wanted to make a whole new project called Polkadot. And one of the central ideas with Polkadot is actually it's a federated blockchain system. So every little project can have its own blockchain, and then you actually have local governance, like local democracy. So that's what I wanted, and then it's kind of like the universe has provided that for me. So kind of after like 4 years. So now the Polkadot is becoming a reality. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm very excited about Polkadot.
So this idea of having these these decentralized autonomous organizations, did that idea arise with Polkadot, and did they invent that, or was it a totally separate idea? Because Polkadot's also using a very similar mechanism, to your DAOs to control the governance.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that term came from or who coined that term, but I first became aware of the term DAO whenever I first heard about Ethereum, because this was one of the touted things that you might be able to do with Ethereum is to have DAOs. So that was a very new concept at the time.
So on your project, at some point, you'll set up a DAO to basically govern the chain and the community, and then we'll just have this decentralized governance.
Yeah. So currently, the Acuity decentralized social media project, it's running on a clone of Ethereum, and the cryptocurrency for that blockchain is called Mix, MIX. And on the 1st of September, so the project is having a regenesis, and all the Mix balances are going to be converted into Acuity balances on the new blockchain. So that's a blockchain in the Polkadot ecosystem. So it's in Polkadot you have a blockchain construction system called Substrate. So I'm building a new blockchain using Substrate, and then that's within the Polkadot ecosystem.
Cool.
And so you were asking me about how that can be a DAO, and so actually every when you build a blockchain using Substrate, so it has this built-in mechanism for governance and for upgrading. So in any Substrate-based blockchain, if you want, anyone can propose a hard fork, and then there's a governance mechanism where people can vote on whether that hard fork should go ahead. And then if it's if there is a vote to decide that we should have this hard fork, then actually it just happens automatically. So all of the nodes in the system, so that's the people who are stakers, people running exchanges, just anyone running a node, their node will automatically upgrade if that's decided by the DAO. So you don't actually need to upgrade your software to get the hard fork.
Yeah. What's that called? So with Polkadot, I guess one of the features is that they allow, is it called on-chain upgrades or something like that? Or what's the process that they use to be able to allow these blockchains to be upgraded?
I think I would call it's a system of autonomous hard forks.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, you just mentioned Polkadot and Ethereum too. There's quite a few things there that I guess we could probably talk about. Probably the first thing I'd like to ask is, so Ethereum 2.0 and Polkadot, how different are they? It sounds to me that they have the same aim of having parallel, I guess, subchains. Or in Polkadot, what are these subchains called? They're called parachains. So
Parachains.
are they both solving the problem in a fairly similar way? And is the only difference, is Polkadot just like a greenfield project? Yeah.
So the main thing that both Polkadot and Ethereum 2.0 are trying to solve is scalability, because as we've seen on Ethereum, it's getting congested, it's getting expensive, and everyone knew that something that's more scalable would need to be created. And so both Polkadot and Ethereum 2.0 are based on proof of stake, and that's it's easier to make a scalable blockchain with proof of stake, but they are architecturally quite different, especially when it comes to governance. So as far as I can tell, with Ethereum 2.0, although it has various mechanisms for sharding the blockchain and having increased capacity, it's still a monolithic blockchain. Whereas with Polkadot, it's more a case of you can build whatever kind of blockchain you want, and then these blockchains can then connect together.
Yep.
So to start with, there's a blockchain called Kusama. So Kusama is like an experimental version of Polkadot. So to begin with, I would like the Acuity blockchain to connect to Kusama, and then that will enable increased network security. You'll be able to have decentralized exchanges with other cryptocurrencies on Kusama, and you'll also have decentralized message passing. And then eventually, if that goes well, and then Acuity could then, instead of connecting via Kusama, it could connect via Polkadot itself.
Yeah. So was there a particular reason why you chose Polkadot over Ethereum 2.0, since you're kind of on Ethereum already?
Yeah, I'd always had my eye on Polkadot, but I wasn't intending to move so soon to a next generation blockchain. But then whenever Polkadot actually launched a couple of months ago, and I just started reading through the documentation, and it just seemed so attractive to me. It just seemed we need to move to this system. Well, one of the reasons is it has much greater security, so there's less of a chance of a double spend attack compared to an independent Ethereum blockchain. And also, as I was reading the documentation, it became very clear that it's actually very compatible with Ethereum. So a lot of the work that's already been done on Acuity, on this Ethereum blockchain, it can actually be brought across to the Polkadot ecosystem. Well, one of the main things that's been achieved in the first 5 years of Acuity is writing all of the smart contracts. So all of the core mechanics of how you can have a fully decentralized social media platform, that's all implemented in smart contracts. So you have content revisioning. You can build a trust network with other accounts. You can have feeds. You can have emoji reactions. You can have a comment hierarchy. And all of this is implemented in smart contracts. So it's fully autonomous. It's fully on chain.
Yeah.
And so these smart contracts are written in Solidity, which is the main programming language for writing smart contracts on Ethereum. And there's actually, Polkadot has several ways that that we can use the existing smart contracts. So one way is we can use the Ethereum virtual machine is actually an optional component in a substrate blockchain. So what I can do is I can take the smart contracts we already have, I can compile them with the Solidity compiler, and then deploy that EVM bytecode into the new Polkadot blockchain.
Yeah. Because I guess one of the things about Polkadot is that it's compatible with anything that runs on an EVM.
Yeah, so Polkadot and substrate blockchains, they have they have this system of pallets. So when you build the blockchain, you can plug in whichever pallets you want, and they have an EVM pallet, so that's compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, and then they also have the contracts pallet, and that runs WASM. So WASM is WebAssembly.
Yeah.
So either I can take the existing smart contracts, compile them with the standard Solidity compiler, and get the EVM bytecode, and that can be deployed. There is, because there are differences in terms of how accounts work and that sort of thing, there is a little bit of extra complexity using the EVM palette instead of just the standard contracts palette. So another option, there's another compiler that can actually compile Solidity smart contracts into WASM, and it's being developed at the moment. It doesn't do everything we need yet, but once we've had the regenesis on 1st of September, then I will take another look at this compiler and see if actually we can compile our smart contracts directly to WASM. And that means we can use the contracts palette instead of the EVM palette.
So with the regenesis, what are you guys doing as part of that? So are you looking at the moment into compiling your smart contracts into WASM? And what are the other tasks that you're doing as part of the regenesis?
So I'm waiting till after the regenesis to actually work out what to do with the smart contracts, determine the best approach. But what I'm doing in the next month is primarily making sure that the new blockchain will launch successfully and that everyone's balances will be transferred. So at the moment, there are many people who have the mixed cryptocurrency, and I need to take a snapshot on the 1st of September of how much mix is at every address on the blockchain. So that's a piece of software I've been working on. So once we have the regenesis, I will run that piece of software on a specific block number, just to get a snapshot of everybody's mix balance. And then it will automatically create the Genesis block in the new blockchain, on the Acuity blockchain. And then it'll be similar. So if anyone participated in the Polkadot pre-sale, so they will know that there's a system where you can in the Polkadot web app, you sign a message from your original Ethereum address that you use to participate in the Polkadot pre-sale, and then you will then be granted your DOT tokens. So we're actually doing the same thing, converting Mix into Acuity. So you will be able to take any of your wallets, that can be Konami or my crypto ledger, whatever. You just have to be able to sign a message from the address that was storing your Mix, and then you will use the same application, but instead of claiming your DOT, you'll claim your Acuity.
Or your Mix.
Well, it's Mix is being rebranded to Acuity. So you will get, if you had 10,000 Mix, then you will have 10,000 Acuity after regenesis.
Okay, so my understanding is during the regenesis, once you kind of sign the message and you can convert your Mix, then you'll get a certain amount of Acuity on the DOT network.
Mm-hmm. You'll get Yeah, your mix will be converted into Acuity on the Acuity blockchain.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I guess that leads us to this issue of proof of stake and then what a token means within that network. Because my understanding of proof of work is you do some work and you get issued some tokens. So how does all of that work on a proof of stake network?
So one of the big differences with proof of work versus proof of stake is with proof of work, it's purely based on rewards. So if you successfully mine a block, then you'll receive the block reward and the transaction fees. And so that's purely like the carrot. So you have to be good at making blocks, and then you'll get paid by the network for that. And then, of course, with proof of work, in theory, the blockchain can be rolled back any number of blocks. If a strong enough miner comes along, they can roll back the chain. Whereas with proof of stake, so it actually it has both the carrot and the stick. So instead of being a miner, you have a system of stakers, and if you successfully create a block, you will get rewarded. But also, if you do it badly, if you do it wrong, or if you fail to make the block when you're supposed to, you'll be slashed, and then you will lose your stake. So you have this. With proof of stake, you have the carrot and the stick. You have consistent block time, so it's not random. And then also on Polkadot blockchains, you have this thing called grandpa finality. So that actually means that after a certain number of blocks, that's not going to be rolled back. Everyone's agreed it's not going to change. So that's really important for the blockchain.
Yeah. So how do you become a staker on a proof of stake blockchain? And is it the same for every parachain, or can you have different rules for who becomes a staker and how much stake they have to put in?
Yeah, every blockchain in the Polkadot ecosystem can operate in a different way. In fact, it doesn't have to be proof of stake. You can have proof of work blockchains. You can have proof of authority blockchains. When you build a blockchain with the substrate system, you can plug it together, decide what kind of blockchain you want. But with what I'm building, I'm just following the standard proof of stake system that's used by Kusama. So I'm not doing anything too crazy and changing too much. I'm just sticking with standard proof of stake Polkadot blockchain.
Yep. Okay, so there would be a certain entry threshold to become a staker, let's say 10,000. And if you had that, then you could apply to be a staker on the blockchain. Okay. And so this idea that anyone can kind of just spin up a node and become a staker, that's kind of gone. There's a certain number, and I guess the stakers are chosen, and then they become trusted.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, with proof of work, there is a barrier to entry with proof of work because you need to invest in some expensive hardware to actually participate. So yeah, it is a different system, and so one of the reasons why I've launched the Acuity Ambassadors program is because when we launch the Acuity blockchain on Polkadot in 1 month, we need these stakers to take over from the miners. So we need to grow this new ecosystem where we need people who are, they know what to do whenever we launch the blockchain. We need the stakers to be ready to step in and start securing the network.
So how many stakers do you need for the network to be secure right from the beginning?
Well, with Kusama, for example, I think they have around 400, so that's that would be ideal. But yeah, I'm just gonna grow the ambassador program. We're gonna spread the word and just try to get as many people involved and ready to stake on Acuity.
So when if people want to become a staker, how do they get a hold of Mix? So they would basically have to get a hold of Mix now and then use that Mix as their stake on the new blockchain.
Yeah, so you need the Acuity cryptocurrency to be a staker, and either so until 1st of September you can get hold of Mix, so that typically you would buy that on one of the exchanges, and then that would be converted into Acuity, or you can wait till after the regenesis, and then you can purchase some Acuity then.
Okay, so you can purchase Acuity token on the new blockchain. Okay, from one of these exchanges as well.
Yeah, so we're currently in negotiations with exchanges, so you'll be able to just purchase the Acuity cryptocurrency in the way that you can currently purchase Mix. So we want those centralized exchanges to be in place, and then also one of the great things with being in the Polkadot ecosystem is if we connect to Kusama, then actually that's effectively DeFi on Polkadot. So if you want to do any decentralized trading or do some more sophisticated trading, like what's happening on DeFi on Ethereum, you'll be able to do that on Kusama. So you'll be able to take the Acuity cryptocurrency and then do decentralized trading on Kusama. So you won't have to use one of these centralized exchanges. You'll have that choice.
Yep. So on the Acuity platform, how is your token used? What's the economics of it on the platform?
So it has a range of different uses. So you need the Acuity token for the staking, and then also you can use Acuity to pay for the transactions. So because almost everything is an on-chain transaction, so even if you post a piece of content and then that comment is a reply to another piece of content, so you're actually paying to store that connection on the blockchain. So in the same way that if you're using your data on your mobile phone, so you have a balance, and as you use your phone, that balance goes down, and then you might have to buy some more credit. You have the same system on Acuity, although the transaction cost will be extremely small because it's on this new proof of stake blockchain. But you are paying your own way. So one of the reasons why you can always publish is because you're actually paying to write that piece of information into the database. So that's why you can always write and publish to the system.
Yep. Okay, so people can pay to publish information, and I guess to consume information, then there can be a paywall, and content producers can get paid by people who want access as well.
So one of the ideas with Acuity is to decouple the publishing of content from the consumption of content. And also with Acuity, at the moment, it's actually an entirely public platform. So there's no concept of having private groups or private content, or I haven't built anything for paywalls and so on. But we have been innovating with different ways to to allow content creators to actually get paid from what they're producing.
Yeah.
And in an ideal world, this would actually, this wouldn't involve advertising. This wouldn't involve paywalls. It wouldn't involve harvesting user data. What if you could, you publish your content, and then you are funded by the community in proportion to how much people like that content. So what I've devised, and this was actually this was running previously on the Mix blockchain. This is the idea that you can monetize content by creating a token for your brand. So the way this works is that let's say you have a new video channel, and people are really starting to to watch it a lot. They like your content. You can switch on a token that is effectively a token for your brand for that channel. And as the content creator, you get paid continually in your own token. And the fans, they can actually, if they get hold of your token and they burn your token, then this information will then be displayed in the app. So the idea is that we want to gamify the purchasing and then destruction of tokens that are supplied automatically to the content creator. Hopefully that's made some sense. Did you understand what I meant?
Yeah, I think I kind of got lost a bit in terms of, so the content creator gets automatically given the token for their brand or their content, and then how does burning it result in them being financially rewarded?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
so the content creator, so they're just getting paid continually by a smart contract. Their balance of their own token just increases continually. And so in order for the content creator to maybe make some Acuity or some other cryptocurrency from their brand token, they need to sell their token. So of course, on any decentralized exchange, you have this, if you have the token and there's demand for the token, you can sell it, and the free market will determine the correct price of your token. So you need demand for the token. And the demand comes from the fact that if a fan buys the token or gets hold of it by any means whatsoever, if they burn the token, it actually this becomes their approval for your content. So if you look at a video on YouTube at the moment, so it might say there's this many upvotes, this many views. So instead of that, it will say how many tokens have been burned. And then you'll be able to see a leaderboard to see who has burned the most tokens for that video.
So burning a token results in a reduced supply of that particular token.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
it means it results in the gamification of burning the token. So if you burn the token, it's like conspicuous consumption. It's like, I've burned the token. There's proof of that on the blockchain. Everyone can see that I'm a real fan. And of course, people can be very competitive. Who is the biggest fan? And so it creates that demand for people to buy the token and burn it.
So how's that related to if you want to exchange that token for a token that is actually worth money on an exchange? So on most exchanges, there'll be a rate for that token to Ethereum, for example. I don't get the connection between what's happening on the platform and the burning of the tokens for that particular content producer and that exchange rate between that token and, say, Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. So anytime you have a fixed quantity of tokens and you have demand for the token, then the market will just find the value of that token. So
Yep.
let's say let's say the content creator is getting paid 10 tokens every day, and
Yep.
they're able to sell each of those tokens for $1.
Yep.
Because that's the rate at which the fans want to buy it and burn it.
Yep.
Then the content creator would then be generating revenue of $10 per day.
Yeah. Okay. So it really revolves around fans wanting to buy the token for that channel. And then, and then, so the main thing that the fans can do with that token is to burn it. And in that leaderboard, is there anything else that channels or people can do with that token that would incentivize them to buy it or make them want to buy the token?
Well, there certainly is. So the content creator, the brand manager can actually they can innovate in whatever way they want. So if you look at what people are doing on Patreon at the moment, the fans that are paying more, so they get into a higher tier, and then the content creator will have specified that if you're in a certain tier, you get certain rewards. So of course you can do that kind of thing. And then another use for this burning of the token is that it creates what can be termed a Sybil resistant measurement of popularity. So if if you think about on YouTube, if you have the view count or the like count, typically there's you don't really know if you can trust that, and what does that mean anyway? If a video has been viewed 1 million times, like what was everybody paying attention? Was there one person looking at the screen, or was it being played to a room full of people? Did they pay a click farm to have fake views? Like, what does it really mean when you look at these metrics? They can't really be trusted. And at least on a centralized platform like YouTube, they can come in and use some AI or something and say, okay, we think that these are fake likes. We're going to delete them. And of course, you see that from time to time, and people complain like my view count disappeared or something. But of course, on a decentralized system, well, of course, you don't want to give anyone that kind of authority. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. And also, you want a better system. So because there is this token that has a fixed quantity, and you have to burn it in order to register as liking the content. So this actually acts as a Sybil resistant measurement of popularity.
What does the word Sybil mean, and Sybil resistance? You've mentioned that, but I actually don't know what it means.
So that's a term that's become very popular in the blockchain world. I think Vitalik might have done a lot to popularize that term, but it comes from academia. But it's really this idea that let's say you wanted to have like a voting system, and you just say, okay, if you want to vote, just send a letter to this address and say, do you vote for red or blue? And then, of course, this would be susceptible to a Sybil attack, because anyone could just make 10,000 letters and send them in, and then vote for one way or the other. So you need some means of Sybil resistance to make sure that the vote is fair. And so, of course, in a democracy, you have the idea of one person, one vote, and then you try to make sure that you verify people's identity, and each person can only vote one time. But there's many other systems of Sybil resistance, and this is a core purpose of blockchain technology, is to have Sybil resistance.
Yeah. So what's the mechanism of Sybil resistance on the Polkadot blockchains again?
Are you talking specifically about the token burning?
Yeah. Okay, so the civil resistance issue applies, I guess, for the particular token on the particular channel, but I guess on the blockchain at large and for Polkadot in general.
Yeah, I mean, it can be the concept of civil resistance can be applied to many parts of the ecosystem. So, for example, proof of work itself or proof of stake is a civil resistance mechanism,
Yeah.
because in order to mine a block, you have to do enough work. And so
Yes.
the system in Bitcoin, it's always recalibrating itself to have a new block every 10 minutes.
Yep.
And so there's a civil resistance mechanism. So you have to do enough calculations to prove that you've done enough work for what should be 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think my understanding is, in terms of the economics of the token, is it's very similar to money, like in Patreon. So instead of people spending money to kind of get access to the content here, they're buying tokens with their money. So essentially, you're converting your fiat currency over to a token, and then you're spending it on the blockchain in a very similar way. Yeah.
Yeah, and this idea of burning of tokens to fund content creators, I think no one else is quite doing that. So it is quite experimental. But
yes, yeah, that's that idea of being able to burn the tokens. I think that's kind of the thing that confused it. Yeah.
I think that's kind of the direction we need to move in if we want to be able to fund content creators without advertising, without paywalls. You can still have your your exclusive content if you want, but just being able to embrace the fact that the internet can just share information so easily. So what if instead of trying to control your content, what if you can just say, I'm going to put my content out there, and as long as you look after your brand and people know that it's you, and that if they want to support you, then you're the person they have to support, and you have a feedback mechanism where if they do support you, then that's evident on the blockchain and in the application. I think that's the way forward.
So without something like Patreon on the blockchain, so the only way that the equivalent of Patreon on the blockchain is the burning. So that's the main way that people can show their support for the content. So instead of having Patreon where they give a certain amount of token to get access to content or some kind of reward, that doesn't exist. The content is made, it's always available, and then it's up to the user to kind of burn the tokens to kind of show their support.
Yeah, so this is the system that I've come up with. But of course, the idea is that on the Acuity blockchain, any developer can innovate at any level of the system. So if if you have another idea of how to monetize content, you can build that, and it's a permissionless technology. You can build on it in whatever way you want. And that's one of the big differences between decentralized social media and platforms like Twitter and Reddit and Facebook that just work in a certain way. And as a developer, you really, even though they have their APIs, but you can't innovate in the same way that if you have your own website, of course, that's a trustless technology. You can innovate in whatever way you want on your own website. But then, of course, you're not all together. You're not interacting on your own website. So we need the combination of both. We want to have everyone able to interact on the same system, but then having this total freedom to innovate in whatever way you want.
So when you say the Acuity blockchain, in terms of Polkadot, so Polkadot is kind of this main chain that has like a bunch of parachains. So is the Acuity blockchain a parachain? Yeah.
Yeah. So the term Polkadot, it means two or three different things. So you have kind of the Polkadot ecosystem. So this is a range of technologies. So one of these would be the substrate blockchain construction kit. So the Acuity blockchain is built using substrate, and then that's within the Polkadot ecosystem. But the idea is that there is this central Polkadot chain, and you can any other blockchain can become a parachain and connect into Polkadot. So that's kind of that's something you don't have to do that. You can connect to Kusama to start with, and then maybe you want to connect your blockchain to Polkadot later. And actually, one of the things you will be able to do is do it recursively. So, in fact, Acuity, although Acuity will be connected to Kusama and then Polkadot, other blockchains will actually be able to kind of become children of Acuity. So that's if someone wants to build a blockchain that is specifically related to to Acuity, so it just wants to be directly connected to the Acuity blockchain, it can connect directly to Acuity instead of going via Kusama or Polkadot.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's I always thought that the kind of the parachains had to go through the main chain to communicate with one another. But you're saying that the chains
you can have multiple layers of parachains. So a parachain can have its own parachains.
Yeah. Okay. So a parachain can act as a main chain and have other chains attached to it. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's right.
Interesting.
Great. Okay. So thank you very much, Vang, for being on the first episode of the Acuity podcast. I hope to have you on again very soon, and we're also going to we're going to have a lot of other ambassadors on the show as well. We have 1 month until regenesis, so I'm very excited. It's going to be a busy month. So thanks again, Vang, and I'll talk to everybody again soon.
Jonathan, thank you. And I'm sure as I dive deeper into blockchain and Polkadots and Acuity, I'll have more questions, and yeah, we can have another chat. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Until next time. Thanks.
All right, see ya. Bye.